AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT Review. There is not much difference between AMD's Radeon RX 7900 XT and AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX. In terms of price, the Radeon RX 7900 XT is approximately 10% less than the Radeon RX 7900 XTX. The system resources are also similar, as the Radeon RX 7900 XT shares the same graphics processor as the 7900 XTX. Yet there are a few components that have been removed. Seeing as flaw-bearing chips were put away to be utilized as RX 7900 XT GPUs, some equipment components on the RX 7900 XT were disabled. Nevertheless, this only leads to a minor variance between AMD's two new graphics cards. When assessing the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XTX, we went over the nuances of Radeon A3 microarchitecture and its chip. Consequently, foregoing delving into those subtleties here, we will be concentrating on the essentials of what is inside the Radeon RX 7900 XT instead. To construct its new Radeon A3 GPUs, AMD is utilizing multiple smaller chips instead of having one large monolithic chip. Individual parts are referred to as graphics compute dies, and memory cache dies, and this includes a major chip that houses vital components such as shaders, TMUs, and ROPs alongside memory controllers with infinity cache. Featuring a game clock of 2300 MHz and a boost clock of 2500 MHz, the Radeon RX 7900 XTX has 6144 streaming processors, 384 TMUs, 192 ROPs, and 96 ray tracing cores. With some shaders disabled, the Radeon RX 7900 XT contains a modified GCD including 5376 streaming processors, 336 TMUs, 168 ROPs, and 84 ray tracing cores. With a smaller clock speed, 2000 MHz at the base with a further increase to 2400 MHz on boost. The Radeon RX 7900 XTX and the Radeon RX 7900 XT both have 6 MCDs, with the latter having one of them disabled. The 7900 XTX, to fit the designated reductions, AMD made modifications to various features of the Radeon RX 7900 XT, with a reduced 315-watt TDP, fewer cores and bandwidth, and a smaller construction at 4.4 by 10.9 by 2.1 inches compared to other cards. This AMD reference design is fitted with 3 cooling fans to assist with airflow. The Radeon RX 7900 XTX and the card in question share similar ports, comprising 2 8-pin PCI Express power connectors, 2 DisplayPort outputs, 1 HDMI port, and a USB Type-C port. On our 2022 GPU test bed with an Intel Core i9-12900K processor, we evaluated the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT. It has 32GB Corsair Vengeance RAM. The system features a 1TB Corsair MP600 Pro and 4.0 SSD as its main storage, Windows 11 Pro, and is powered by a Corsair HX 1500 i1500 watts 80+ platinum power supply. The current competition between AMD and Nvidia is scarce, with only 2 new graphics cards from each for their respective product generations. Given the great disparity in cost, AMD's own Radeon RX 7900 XTX is presently the chief competitor of the AMD Radeon RX 7900 XT. The contrast between the two is just $100, so when you contemplate either of them, it absolutely pays to check out both. There are also old cards available, yet as you will observe shortly, even the most excellent of those can't match up to the Radeon RX 7900 XT once the price is taken into account. Even though we wouldn't suggest updating your system if you already have a top-end card from the above chart, we would be reluctant to encourage buying one of those now.